Good evening and welcome to the fourth session of Halton Catholic District School Board Parent Information Series. The three previous sessions in this series have focused on mental health, anxiety, and parenting during the pandemic. You can watch these sessions on YouTube, and you'll find the link on the board's webpage. If you've already been logging into this series, you'll know that the mental health and well-being team at the school board has created 6 information sessions for parents. My name is Jane Atchison. I'm the acting chief social worker at the board, and I'm joined tonight by Oliver Foisey, chief psychologist. We work with Glenda Brown, chief of mental health programming, in the delivery of mental health supports for students. Today, we're introducing a session which is called Family Matters, Raising a Resilient Child. This series has been developed because we've heard your concerns regarding the impact of the pandemic on your children, and now there's been another return to virtual learning. For many people, COVID-19 has caused feelings of anxiousness and stress. Our intent is to share information with you over the course of 6 sessions that will assist you in supporting your child in all aspects of their well-being. We know that there have been some tough times, and we want to support you in supporting your child. Please join me as we center ourselves in prayer, and then we'll do a land acknowledgement. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Slow me down, Lord, which was written by Oren Crane. Slow me down, Lord. Ease the pounding of my heart by the quieting of my mind. Steady my harried pace with a vision of the eternal reach of time. Give me in the confusions of my day the calmness of the everlasting hills. Break the tensions of my nerves with the soothing music of the singing streams that live in my memory. Help me to know the magical power of sleep. Teach me the art of taking minute vacations, or slow down to look at a flower, to chat with an old friend, or to make a new one. To pet a dog, to watch a spider build a web, to smile at a child, or to read a few lines from a good book. Slow me down, Lord, and inspire me to send my roots deep into the soil of life's enduring values, that I may grow towards the stars of our greater destiny. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Now we'll do a land acknowledgement.
Each of us has a relationship to the natural environment, the land, water, earth, the habitat, and ecosystems. Land acknowledgements provide us with an opportunity to offer recognition, respect to the original inhabitants of the regions that we live in and work on. There are many things that we can do to go beyond simply reading a land acknowledgement script. To make it more meaningful, we need to consider that we are, in fact, acknowledging not only the ancestral lands, but also the historical and complex intersections of settler impacts on Indigenous histories, economies, ecologies, livelihood, well-being, and governance structures. A territorial acknowledgement is not an endpoint in the journey of reconciliation. Actions create conditions for true reconciliation and create a foundation for restoring, renewing, or developing a new relationship with Indigenous peoples. For hundreds of years, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Attawaddaron, the Potawatomi, the Wendat, and Lenape nations have sought to walk gently on this land. They assisted the first European travelers to this territory and shared their knowledge for survival in what was, at times, a harsh climate. Under consultations from elders, knowledge holders from the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and 6 nations of the Grand River Territory, the Indigenous Education Advisory Committee, along with Halton Catholic District School Board, created this land acknowledgement.
Halton, as we know it today,
is rich in the history and modern traditions
of many First Nations and the Métis.
From the lands of the Anishinaabe
to the Attawandaron,
the Haudenosaunee,
and the Métis.
These lands surrounding the Great Lakes
are steeped in Indigenous history.
As we gather today
on these treaty lands,
our Catholic social teachings
call us in solidarity
with our Indigenous brothers and sisters
to honor and respect
the four directions:
lands, waters, plants,
animals,
and ancestors
that walked before us.
All these wonderful elements of creation exist,
gifted to us by our Creator God.
We acknowledge and thank
the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation
for being stewards of this traditional territory.
Thank you. Here at Halton Catholic, we have a wonderful, talented team of child and youth counselors, psychoeducational consultants, psychologists, and social workers who present each week on topics that are important to you. We're thrilled to have you join us tonight, and we hope that you'll be back again to catch the next info session. The topics for this series were chosen as a result of our consultation regarding the needs of parents, which were conducted in the form of surveys, consultation with SEAC, and administrators. I think Oliver's going to do an introduction to the presentation tonight for us.
Tonight's presentation is from two itinerant child and youth counselors, Rosanna Bird and Paula Giordani Murray. They will focus on the important role parents and caregivers play in supporting their children's resilience by fostering and building positive assets. You will learn what the 5 key ingredients of family assets are, and the importance of routines for children and families, and how nurturing relationships play a key role in helping children thrive, especially during these challenging times. This talk and all other presentations will have resources at the end that you can access, and they will be available on the board website, so you can look at them at your convenience. We hope you will enjoy this presentation and you will find it helpful.
Welcome parents and caregivers to this evening's presentation on Families Matter, Raising a Resilient Child. I'm Paula Giordani, itinerant child and youth counselor with the Halton Catholic District School Board.
And I'm Rosanna Bird, itinerant child and youth counselor with the Halton Catholic District School Board, and we are hosting tonight's presentation.
What we will be talking to you about this evening is the role we have as parents and caregivers. When someone becomes a parent or a caregiver, the child does not come with an instruction manual. Most of us learn by trial and error, reading books, or from tips passed on from our own parents. Parenting is a hard job, and it gets harder as our children get older. One of the most important things parents and caregivers can do for their children is to model the kind of person we would like them to be. Being respectful to children, empathizing with them, listening to them, and showing them kindness is not coddling or spoiling them like some may think. It's just treating them like human beings. Over the next half hour or so, we will provide you with key points that will help you raise a resilient child. Let's look at some of those key points that have a role in building resilience. The first one being genetics. All children inherit a unique genetic makeup and that a child's behavior is influenced by that genetic makeup as well as their health, their family environment, and the community they live in. We also know that a child may inherit other characteristics, including mood level or ability to focus, and that children's behavior also depends on how others respond to them. Temperament is the way children respond to the world around them. It's important to know your own temperament. Understanding temperament is key to comprehending your child's own needs. Children are born with a particular temperament. However, their temperament will be affected by their environment. Studies have shown that infants and children who are treated with warmth, care, and sensitivity are more likely to become resilient, well-adapted children and youth. Healthy, well-functioning families provide many of the elements young people need to succeed in life. Keep in mind that some children can be very sensitive to sounds, smells, sights, and even textures around them. So, what are the 9 temperament traits? Here are just a few. 1, first reaction. The child is attracted to new things, whether safe or not. 2, adaptability. The child goes with the flow, moves easily from one activity to the next. 3, mood. The child is outgoing and optimistic. These are 3 of the 9 temperament traits. Rosanna, do you want to share what your child's temperament traits are like?
Of course, Paula. So I have 3 children, and actually, you know 2 of them. You know my middle child, my daughter, and also my youngest. So when we looked at our children's temperament traits as they were growing up, we noticed that obviously they were all 3 different. All three of our kids had different temperament traits. So the youngest definitely high sensitivity and low adaptability. So we looked at how do we build those skills so that he is able to adapt to those changes and also to address that sensitivity. So with our daughter, she had a very easygoing, but her activity level was very, very low. So didn't like to, go for long walks or run or play sports. So my husband and I had to look at what are the extracurricular activities out there that meet her needs so that she was able to have some form of exercise, which is good for overall health. So definitely we learned about their temperament traits quite quickly and learned those skills that they needed to be resilient. So thank you for asking, Paula.
And thank you for sharing that, Rosanna. It makes me think of my daughter, and when she was younger, she was what we would call that sunrise baby, or that easygoing and adaptable. We could leave her just with one toy and she could explore that for hours. So it's quite interesting just learning about kids' temperament traits. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So not only do we need to keep genetics and the temperament traits in mind, we also need to know that our overall health plays an important role when building resilience in our children, like healthy eating and daily physical activity, limiting that screen time, sleep hygiene, and healthy thinking. So let's just take a look at these key points. Habits are hard to break. That's why the sooner in life we build good, healthy habits, the easier it is to keep them and stay as healthy as possible. And when good habits are in place, it's easier to resist the bad ones. The most important thing to remember is that you are your child's role model. Your habits affect your children's habits. If your habits are healthy, such as eating a balanced diet and getting regular exercise, then your children are more likely to build those habits in their own lives. With today's busy schedule, a solid sleep routine can be hard to stick to, but kids who get the recommended amount of sleep for their age are healthier physically, mentally, and emotionally. Studies show that most kids, teens, and adults don't sleep enough, and that makes them more likely to have more colds and flu, more accidents on the playground, have more behavior issues such as whining and short temper, have more trouble paying attention in school and remembering what they learn. So it's important that everyone gets a good night's sleep. And I know this is easier said than done. Everyone needs regular physical activity, regardless of their shape, size, health, or age. The benefits are more energy, stronger muscles, and less stress. And it's important during these challenging times to make sure everyone gets outside and is active, as it is good for our mental health. Many studies over the past 20 years have shown that eating a healthy breakfast can improve memory and concentration, boost creativity and problem solving, lift your mood, raise test scores and work performance, and build overall health. It's also recommended limiting screen time. Limit to 1 to 2 hours a day for children ages 3 to 6 years. For school-age children, limiting screen time will be challenging when most students are using an online platform. It is recommended that they are off social media and any form of technology for at least 45 minutes before bedtime to ensure they get the recommended amount of sleep each night. And if possible, avoid screen time for children 2 years of age and younger. Rosanna, I thought now maybe you could explain to us what resiliency is.
Yes, and thank you, Paula. So for the next few minutes, we'll take a look at how you can help your child build resilience. We'll begin with understanding resilience and then explore the assets children need to build this skill. So what is resilience? Resilience is being able to bounce back from stress, challenge, tragedy, trauma, or adversity. We know that when children are resilient, they are braver, they're more curious and more adaptable and more able to extend their reach into the world. You will hear this message many times throughout the presentation. You are the most important people to help build your child's resilience. Children learn a lot by watching their parents or caregivers. When you cope well with everyday stress, you are showing your child how to do the same. And many of the things that support healthy development in young children also help build their resilience. These things include a secure bond with a caring adult, relationships with positive role models, opportunities to learn skills, and opportunities to participate in meaningful activities. And children need both outside supports and inner strengths to build resilience. Let's begin with those outside supports, and they include caring relationships, positive role models in families and communities, and community resources such as community centers, faith groups, or support programs for children with special needs. So let's take a look at those inner strengths, and they include self-regulation, which is the ability to manage emotions, thinking skills to solve problems and be creative, confidence, a positive outlook, and responsibility and participation. So what are the assets children need to help build resilience? Well, let's explore some of them. So we want to build empowerment. So providing opportunities for your child to take on responsibility and to have a voice at the table helps them to feel valued and safe. We want to build boundaries. Children feel safe when there are clear rules and consequences, and clear rules about the use of computers and mobile phones. We want to build positive values such as honesty, trust, forgiveness, optimism, and compassion. These values can help your child think more deeply about who they are. We want to build those adult connections. It helps your child to feel safe and loved and cared for and listened to in a warm and supportive family. We want to build those resilient practices. And these practices include eating at least one meal together and finding fun things to do as a family or with extended family. and building educational engagement. So involve your child in extracurricular activities. Encourage them to love learning and talk to them about their homework. And finally, join them in reading for pleasure. So one of the keystones about resilience is that it's very hopeful, that building it is an ongoing process and you're never too old to learn new tricks. So next we will show you a video with Dr. Jean Clinton, who talks about resilience and parenting styles. So a little bit about Dr. Clinton. So Dr. Clinton is a clinical professor, Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Neurosciences at McMaster, Division of Child Psychiatry. She has been a consultant to children and youth mental health programs, child welfare, and primary care for over 30 years. Please note that this video was filmed pre-COVID as she talks to a live audience. Paula, can you play the video?
So my talk tonight, really, I hope will maybe give you a bit of irritation, like Barbara Coloroso talks about. And that's irritation. I want to plant some seeds in your brain, little pebbles that will get agitated and turn into wonderful curls in the oyster of your brain. So I'm going to give you some things to think about, and then I really want conversations and questions. Why? Well, because we're living right now in a world where more of us in the mental health field are getting worried that our kids are not doing so well. I'm getting referrals all the time for anxiety in teenage girls, for lack of interest in school in teenage boys, having little ones, 3, 4, 5, having trouble focusing their attention, and do they have ADHD? And as a field, we have a sense that, oh man, there's more stuff happening in children's lives. How about you guys? Are you hearing more about things, more friends? And so you're nodding your head. And so what it means is, as a society, we have to sit up and start to pay attention, because we're seeing kids who have less coping skills. The big challenges in life are yet to come for many of our kids, and yet they're having difficulty dealing with some of the bumps along the road. So I want to talk to you about how do we foster healthy emotional development in children, and how do we make sure that when there are bumps along the road, that they're able to deal with it and in fact bounce back to be better able to deal with things. So that's called resilience. Resilience is this ability, first of all, you need to have something hard that comes in your life, and then you have to be able to have the skills and the relationships around you in order to be able to come back and go on. So what are some of the key ingredients that we need for that? Well, I'll tell you, the most important one is you. We know from tons and tons and tons of research that the most positive predictor of good outcome in a child's life is the relationship they have with significant adults. Now, some people will tell you, no, if you've got a good IQ, that helps you. Well, I'm sure some of you know some people with very high IQs who suck, the big one. You know, they are just not nice people. They can't cope with things. IQ, intelligence, is in fact not that good a predictor when you start school about how well you'll do. Your social and emotional well-being is a far, far bigger predictor. So the relationship that children and young people have with the adults around them is the most important thing. And what do I mean by a relationship? Because we've got all kinds of different relationships, right? But the kinds of relationships that kids need to do well are relationships that have good boundaries, that the kids have clear expectations. They know what's in bounds and what's out of bounds. So clear expectations that are high, as well as warmth and nurturing. So as we're thinking about ourselves as parents, we have to think, okay, so where do I fit in that having warm, nurturing relationships? So I know tons and tons of people who on the nurturing, warm scale, say this is not very warm and this is really warm. They are just so fantastic. They are so warm. They love their kids, but they can't follow through on a rule to save their life. Anybody know this? These are the jellyfish families that Barbara Collar also talks about. Don't put the cat in the microwave, okay, honey? Oh, please. So it's love, but very few limits, very low expectations. I see lots of that. And, quite frankly, I can understand it in our world of two parents working as the norm. And we've got to get the kids to daycare and get them to this and get them to that. I've had families say to me, I don't want to say no because my kids will think I don't love them. I don't see them often enough. And so I don't want to set these limits. Well, I tell them as a child psychiatrist that not setting limits, having low control with your kids can lead to very significant difficulties, including intense anxiety.
Thank you, Paula. So what are those key messages from Dr. Clinton? The first one, children need healthy adult relationships around them and to learn skills. Number two, parents and caregivers are the most important relationship in their child's life. And the third one, children need good boundaries and clear expectations to build resilience. Okay, Paula, can you go to the next slide? So relationships are key. So we know through research, the quality of our relationships in a family is the most important to healthy and happy kids. And parents and caregivers, you are the most important thing your child needs. Once relationships are strong, then family assets are stronger. So let's explore these 5 ways to strengthen relationships, but we're going to do it in a unique way. So we're going to give you a child's perspective around these 5 ways. So the first one is express care. So be dependable, be someone I can trust. Listen, really pay attention when we are together. Believe in me, make me feel known and valued. Be warm, show me you enjoy being with me. Encourage, praise me for my efforts and achievements. Number 2 is challenge growth. Expect my best. Expect me to live up to my potential. Stretch, push me to go further. Hold me accountable. Insist that I take responsibility for my actions. And reflect on failures. Help me to learn from mistakes and setbacks. Number 3 is provide support. Navigate, guide me through those hard situations and systems. Empower, build my confidence to take charge of my life. Advocate, stand up for me when I need it. And set boundaries, put in place limits that keep me on track. Number 4 is share power. So respect me, take me seriously, and treat me fairly. Include me, involve me in decisions that affect me. Collaborate, work with me to solve problems and reach goals. And let me lead, create opportunities for me to take action and lead. And finally, we have expand possibilities. So inspire me to see possibilities for my future and broaden horizons, expose me to new ideas and experiences and places. And finally, connect, introduce me to people who can help me grow. So Paula, it's over to you, and I think you're going to speak about the influences outside of the home, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, Rosanna. Thank you. And thank you for sharing with us the perspective from the child. Those are very useful examples and very easy to remember. So thank you very much. So while we know kids will learn a lot from what happens in the family, we also know that it's not always possible for us to control the external influences our kids are exposed to. But these influences do fall into 3 categories and do come with benefits. And one of those influences are friends. Kids can be influenced by other kids they spend time with. Kids who have a strong supportive network with their peers develop a sense of belonging and helps him or her function normally from day to day, and also helps them cope during difficult times. The other influence is school. Kids' success at school can affect how they feel and what they do. Kids who engage in good social groups and with positive individuals do better academically. They tend to get involved with school activities, participate more often in class, and strive to do well. And the other major influence is media and technology. Technology has become a part of our daily lives, especially this past year. It's nearly impossible to prevent our kids from also desiring these interactions, especially now with online learning. It can't be avoided. Media and technology, when used correctly, can actually have a very positive effect on a child's development. It could lead to improved hand-eye coordination, multitasking, problem solving, and reaction time. It's our job to find the right way for our kids to interact with media and technology appropriately. We've spent a fair amount of time addressing key points to keep in mind when thinking about how resilient our children will be, how to strengthen our relationship with our kids, how outside influences impact our children. We looked at what resiliency is and why it's important. We listened to Dr. Jean Clinton's message about setting good boundaries and setting clear expectations. Rosanna, could you further explore with us the asset kids need to thrive?
Yes, thank you, Paula. I will. So the concept of developmental relationships is based on the work done to date by the Search Institute with their developmental assets framework, which you see here on this screen, and with the work with the family assets. So what are developmental assets? They are the building blocks that help children thrive in all areas, academically, emotionally, and socially. It's about building relationships with children and youth through using a strength-based approach and being intentional in our interactions with them. Let's first take a look at those external assets, and they are support, empowerment, boundaries and expectations, and constructive use of time. And they're built through families, daycare, preschool, school, friends, neighborhoods, faith groups, and community organizations. They are the easiest to build because they're about forming relationships and exposing children to quality programs and activities. So let's take a look at those internal assets. They are positive values, commitment to learning, social competencies, and positive identity. And they reflect commitments, passions, and values we want to instill in children. And this is accomplished through modeling, teaching, and by giving children opportunities to develop their character, confidence, and self-esteem. Paula, can we go to the next slide? Thank you, Paula. So, family assets. There are 5 key ingredients to build family assets, and let's explore each one. So, nurturing relationships. Show that you care in little ways and focus on the relationships, especially when there are challenges, such as during arguments and stressful situations. And find time to talk about things every day. And don't wait for important conversations to have those good conversations. Establish routines. Make family meals a priority. Plan regular family fun nights and be intentional around maintaining meaningful traditions in your family. Think about how you celebrate birthdays and anniversaries and milestones. Perhaps keep a shared family calendar where everyone can keep track. Maintaining expectations. And families are stronger when there are clear expectations for each other, including talking about tough issues and setting fair rules and boundaries and expecting everyone to contribute. Be proactive in setting expectations together and don't wait until there's a problem. Use these 4 C's to establish your expectations. The first one is clear. Make sure that everyone understands the expectations. The second one is consistent and maintain and enforce expectations. So if phones are not allowed at the kitchen table, then therefore adults should not have them as well. Completion, focus on a goal or 2 goals and stick with them. And compassionate, remember to keep your relationship as a high priority and recognize that no one is perfect and that everyone makes mistakes and that mistakes are opportunities to learn. The next one is adapting to challenges with balancing everyday commitments, and know that family time might need to be rescheduled. Remember to solve problems together. And remember what's important to your family when you're faced with challenges and changes. And finally, we have connecting to community. So deep connections to friends, extended family, teachers and coaches and neighbors, and having access to activities and resources enrich your child's life. So parents and caregivers, take a moment and think about which one is the most important. Do you think it's nurturing relationships, establishing routines, maintaining expectations, adapting to challenges, or is it connecting to community? If you guessed relationships, you are correct. Strong relationships in families make everything easier. So Paula, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I know that you're going to talk more about routines.
Thank you, Rosanna, for explaining the 5 key ingredients. And yes, let's explore the importance of establishing routines. Like Rosanna said, making routines is a priority, so we can't stress enough the importance of routines. Why do kids need routines? Because routines give them a sense of security and it helps them develop self-discipline. Kids' fear of the unknown includes everything from a suspicious new vegetable on their dinner plate to a major change in their life. Kids are confronted with change daily, which is a growth opportunity. Kids handle change best if it's expected and occurs in the contents of a familiar routine. A predictable routine allows kids to feel safe. Structure and routines teach kids how to constructively manage themselves and their environments. Routines help parents and caregivers build in those precious connection moments. We all know that we need to connect with our kids every day, but when our focus is on moving the kids through the daily schedule, from getting up in the morning, getting dressed and out the door on time, to getting them to bed, we miss out on opportunities to connect. If we build little connection rituals into our routine, they become habit. For example, try a snuggle with each child when you first see them in the morning, or a recognition ritual when you're first reunited at the end of the day. So, what makes a good daily routine? 3 important steps to remember. A good routine is one that works for your family. The first step, it's well planned. In a good routine, everyone understands their roles, knows what they need to do, and sees their role as reasonable and fair. For example, your children know that they take turns with setting the table and clearing it up the table each night. As kids get older, they can have a say in planning routines. Step 2, regular. good routines become part of everyday family life. For example, you might all look forward to Sunday night dinner with your children's grandparents. And the last step, predictable. In a good routine, things happen in the same order each time. Everyone knows what to expect for the day. For example, you always wash school uniforms on the weekend, so you know they'll be ready for Monday morning. Here are some other examples to help you with establishing good routines. For toddlers and preschool children, getting ready in the morning, eating meals together, spending time playing and talking together, reading books or telling stories, having quiet time, and going to bed at the same time each night. For school-age children, getting up at the same time each day and getting ready for school, doing after-school activities like hobbies or sports, doing chores like setting the table, helping with laundry, or caring for pets. And for teenagers, getting ready and up in the morning at the same time, winding down after school, doing laundry or other chores like making their bed and cleaning their room, doing homework, doing after-school activities, spending time with family, and relaxing before bed. We know these are very changing times, and it can be difficult to maintain routines. Altering routines to fit your family schedule and needs will be a benefit to all. I know I've had to adapt my schedule to a new daily routine. It wasn't easy, and change can be hard, but it has been worth it, and things run smoothly. So Rosanna, if you could end the presentation now.
Yes. So we would like to end the presentation with this beautiful quote from Gary Smalley, and it really reflects the power of family assets. Affirming words from caregivers are like light switches. Speak a word of affirmation at the right moment in a child's life, and it's like lighting up a whole room full of possibilities. We want to thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope you will take away one or more strategies or ideas to help build your child's resilience. Paula, I know you have a special message that you want to share with our parents and caregivers this evening.
Yes, so thank you again for joining us. And I know we talked a lot, and we gave some really good examples and strategies for you to take with you. But the one thing that we do want you to remember is you got this. And remember, you are the most important person in your children's lives. Even during these challenging times, you got this. So thank you for joining us this evening. So we've included also in our presentation tonight the resources and references that Rosanna and I did use to gather the information to share with you. So if you would like to explore further some of the topics that we covered, here is the places that you could certainly look for more information on these topics. Thank you again for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. So this is the end of Rosanna's and Paula's presentation, which was excellent. I want to thank Paula and Rosanna for bringing their vast experience and expertise to us. This topic of raising a resilient child has been so timely, and we hope that you found this information useful. On your screen, you now see a list of community resources which you can also access if you feel that your child requires assistance. This was the fourth of 6 sessions. As we said, all the presentations are recorded and will be available on the board website for on-demand viewing. So far, we have covered mental health and well-being during COVID-19, student mental health and anxiety, parenting during the pandemic, and Families Matter, raising a resilient child, as you just heard. Next week, you will be hearing from the psychology team regarding ADHD and sleep. And some of the issues we will cover may also be relevant for all children during the pandemic. Please do feel free to provide feedback by using the hyperlink that you see on this page or the QR code shown on this slide. You can just use your phone, point at it, and it will pop up to a website to provide your feedback. We want to thank Andrea Swindon, our Manager of Strategic Communication Services, and the communications team. We could not have brought this series to you without her help. Thank you and have a good evening.
Good night, everyone.